Fortunately, a lot of people aren't aware of what's available to them when they're injured. So we figured this was a good opportunity for us to just talk to people about who we are, why we do what we do, and just let you know things that are available to you that you may not know about. It's more about education.
One of the top reasons I came into this line of work is to help people like my mom who have been injured due to the negligence of another, who have been involved in terrible accidents.
You can get that car seat reimbursed by the insurance company like this, so that you can get a new car seat in your car and make sure that your kids are safe. Those are some of the things that a personal injury attorney can help you with. Hi, I'm Victoria San Pedro Medani.
And I'm Ana Cristina Berenguer.
We're the founding partners of Abogadas 305, and thank you for tuning into our podcast. And yes, another attorney podcast. I'm sure that's not what you want to be listening to today. And trust me, I wish we didn't have to do podcasts or advertisements or talk about our jobs. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't aware of what's available to them when they're injured. So we figured this was a good opportunity for us to just talk to people about who we are, why we do what we do, and just let you know things that are available to you that you may not know about. It's more about education, and we'll try to keep it fun while we're at it too.
And you'd be surprised how many questions we get on a daily basis of what to do when you're involved in a car accident, and what better way to have a podcast, a very free flow of questions where we can answer them and make it fun.
Yeah, even my own mom calls me when she's involved in an accident and says, like, do I need to call the police? Like, yeah, call the police, because you don't know if that guy is lying to you. You don't know if he's giving you a valid driver's license. We're not going to figure that out after the fact. So just like we would answer the questions for our own family members, that's what we're here to do for you.
Yeah, we treat, honestly, I know probably all lawyers say this, but we really do believe this. We treat our clients like family, and you're not just a case number here. You're actual family to us. We're always here to help. Please give us a call.
So one of the things that we're always asked is why we got into this line of work. So I'm going to let Anna start the conversation.
So I want to say this is back when I was like 15 or 16 years old. My mom was involved in a really horrible accident. She was hit head on while heading to work that morning. And I remember it being such a traumatic experience, and not my mom being in bed rest for several months, broken clavicle, fractured her foot in several different spots, and I knew how hard that time was for us and our family. And my dad's an attorney, so we knew how the process worked, but a lot of others don't. And imagine going through this and not having someone like that on your side. And it's funny that your dad actually represented my mom in that case, because my dad could not put his feelings aside. But yeah, that's the real reason one of the top reasons I came into this line of work is to help people like my mom who have been injured due to the negligence of another, who have been involved in terrible accidents. And this is the last thing you expect to happen to you. And we're here to guide you through the process. It's not easy, and we're here to guide you through each step of the way, so you don't have to worry about speaking to insurance adjusters or how you're going to pay your next medical bill. Leave that to us. We're going to handle the insurance adjusters. We're going to help get your bills paid for by the insurance companies. Please give us a call. We're happy to help.
And kind of like what Anna went through, when I was 17, I had been driving for about a year, and I was involved in a pretty serious car accident. I got hit from behind by a tow truck. But if you saw my car, you wouldn't have known that I got hit by a tow truck, because really my car moved a lot, but I didn't have a ton of damage to it. And I thought I was fine. I was 17. I was really nervous that day. And 3 days later, my parents found me in the fetal position. I was in excruciating pain. Actually, I think it was more painful than when I had childbirth, honestly. I was in bed, I was crying, and my parents basically wanted to rush me to the emergency room because they didn't know what was wrong with me. I suffered an injury to my lower back in that accident, and my dad is an attorney. And he let me talk to the insurance adjuster, who kept pressuring me to stop treating and kept harassing me. Are you done treating? Are you done treating? I was in the middle of going to school. I went to a really difficult high school where I had exams, and I had tried to keep up with my extracurricular activities and go to my medical appointments. And I didn't always have time to go when I had a scheduled doctor's appointment. But I felt this pressure from the insurance company to stop treating. And here I am all these years later, and occasionally when it's raining outside, my back still hurts. If I'm moving, God forbid, I need to schedule a massage 2 days later because I will be in excruciating back pain. I didn't want people to feel like that. Even though my dad is an attorney and I've been involved with the legal process, I was 17 years old. I didn't know any better. And honestly, I think my parents thought it was no big deal that I was 17 years old and that's just things that happen in the world. Now that I am on this side of the coin and I've seen what insurance companies do, I know exactly what that insurance adjuster was trying to do. He was trying to get me to stop treatment so he would have to stop paying my medical bills. And I should have been entitled to more treatment. Some money should have been set aside so that I could continue getting treatment for the rest of my life. Things that I didn't think about when I was 17. I was worried about my exams in school or going to choir practice. I wasn't really worried about, my lower back pain and how it would feel when I was 9 months pregnant and how much pain that would cause because of this prior car accident that I had. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get into personal injury. I have seen firsthand the impact that these injuries have. People call it whiplash. Oh, it's a soft tissue injury. It's not. You will feel these pains for the rest of your life. Especially in Miami where it's always raining, a little bit of humidity, forget it. Your back pain is back full-fledged. People who have fractures will always say that. Oh, when it's a humid, rainy day, forget it. You feel the pain, even if it's been 15, 20 years since you had that fracture. So part of the reason we got into this is we wanted to make sure that people had access to information, that they had access to the remedies that are available to them. And we're here. We offer free consultations. Maybe you're not sure if you want to present a claim or not. Let's talk through it. Maybe it was totally minor. Maybe you really don't have any damages and it's not worth your time or effort. But maybe you do have serious injuries and you might be worried that it's too late. You'll never know unless you have a conversation with an attorney. We never try to limit you based on, let's have a conversation. We treat each case on a case-by-case basis, and that's what we want to do for you.
But you know what, you said something really interesting. Let's go back a little bit. So you mentioned something about, you're 17 years old, not wanting to make a claim or not knowing what to do. You're like, I'm fine. This happens on a daily basis, but no, it doesn't. And there is this huge negative stigma out there about not wanting to make a claim, feeling bad about the other person who hit you. They started crying at the scene. But in reality, you have to think about it, that you're not really making a claim towards that person. Yes, they were at fault for the accident, but everyone has insurance for a reason, and you're not making a claim towards that person. You're not saying they're a bad person, but they had a bad day and they may have caused your accident. And guess what? You don't want to wait months down the road to not have made a claim, and now you're stuck like Vicky is with back pain in a fetal position. You want to make sure that you're well taken care of because your life and your health is important.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, your health, right? And you never really understand the full consequences of some of these injuries until you see a doctor.
Right.
And that's honestly, some people are so nervous, like, I don't have health insurance. Do I go to the doctor? Yes, always go to the doctor. You'd be surprised, so many doctors, they'll take your car insurance. They'll agree to see you for free because they also want to make sure that you're okay. So for us, it's very important that you are protected, right? That you kind of check off your list, like, am I okay? Is my car going to get repaired? Am I going to be able to go to work tomorrow? And who's going to pick up my kids if my car's in the shop? That always happens with parents. Honestly, parents, you have so much on your plate already. We know what it's like. You got to deal with school drop-off. Oh, I already had to miss a day from work last week because my child had, too many boogers and the teacher wouldn't let him go to school that day. Yeah. So we know the impact that this has on your everyday family life. You got to get a new car seat now. That's another $400. Where is that $400 coming from when you are already living paycheck to paycheck because everything is so expensive here in Miami? We know what that's like. We can get that car seat reimbursed by the insurance company like this so that you can get a new car seat in your car and make sure that your kids are safe. Yeah. Those are some of the things that a personal injury attorney can help you with that people don't always think about from the beginning. And part of it is that stigma, right? You have this idea like, oh no, I'm not that type of person. You're not the type of person who uses something that you've been paying for your entire life. I'm not telling you to abuse of it. I'm not telling you to go create a car accident right now. No. I don't. If that's the type of person you are, we don't want that type of client.
We've seen enough of those videos on YouTube.
We've seen those videos on YouTube too. We don't want those type of cases.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened to you if you're watching this video. If you're watching this video, you were seriously injured because somebody wasn't paying attention and they were on their phone or they weren't looking ahead on the Palmetto Expressway and boom, they slammed into you. And now your car's in the shop, you're still making your lease payment, you don't know when you're getting your car back, you're running out of your rental car time, you've already missed a bunch of time from work trying to deal with all of this, your kids miss school, and you're dealing with a million different things in your life. We want to take that off your plate. Let us handle all of that logistical paperwork so that you can focus on you, your health, and your family. That's what we're here to do.
I agree. And you know what? At the end of the day, you're making the claim against your insurance company. Meanwhile, this entire time where they're fighting you on each step of the way, you're still paying your premiums, and you're paying it for a reason. Do not wait. I know it's difficult, and I don't want to. We don't want to like beat a dead horse to whatever the saying is, right?
So speaking of like starting a claim and like not wanting to talk a claim, this happens a lot when like an older parent is involved in an incident. They had a fall at the grocery store, or they tripped outside on the sidewalk and they had a really bad injury. The parent is really embarrassed. They don't want to talk to an attorney. The child is worried. So like it happened to one of my friends when she called me. Her mom had just had a really bad fall. She had to take her to the hospital. She wasn't sure about what was going to happen to her mom, what were the next steps, getting her mom treatment. Her mom had gone to one of the clínicas that we're so used to here in Miami, and the clínica said, sorry, we don't treat you if you got injured in an accident. She's like, what do you mean you don't treat me if I fell? I have Medicare, pay for my, cover my physical therapies, and they wouldn't. So my friend called me and said, hey, my mom had this accident. What do we do next? So we had a meeting. And honestly, we were able to get her mom medical treatment. We were able to get her mom, this was a really unfortunate fall. She had bruising to her face. Her tooth was chipped. She had to get basically like implants on her teeth, unfortunately, because of where the crack was. But we took care of all of that. And we made sure that the mom had transportation to her medical appointments because that's what she's used to with her clínica. So that it would be one less burden on the daughter. And the daughter still had to manage a bunch of logistics because now Abuela couldn't pick up the kids from school anymore because she was in pain. So I'm glad that she reached out to us, and we were able to make a big difference in that family's life. Not only were we able to get Abuela her medical treatment, but in that case, we actually found some crazy facts. I still remember the day that the records came in. Do you remember that case?
Yeah. So I'm the one who did that public records request on that case, and we were able to find out that not only were we able to obtain like the specific area of the sidewalk that caused our client to fall, well, they actually fixed the incorrect section of the sidewalk, and we were able to find that in the public records request so we can show them that they were liable and they were put on notice. And not only were they put on notice, but after the fact, they failed to correct it properly. They correct a whole other section of the sidewalk.
Yeah, so in this case, like where our client fell, someone had actually walked through the area and identified it as a trip hazard.
Yep.
And they made a work order for it to get repaired. But instead of fixing it, they hired some low-budget repairmen, and they made the repair on the wrong part of the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And thanks to the public records request and our good friend Google Maps that takes lovely screenshots every so often of roadways and sidewalks, we were able to show that the repair was done to the wrong part of the sidewalk.
Right.
So we were able to show like, hey, this is the trip hazard where he said to fix it, which is exactly where our client fell. You can actually see the blood on the sidewalk where our client had fallen. And then you would compare that to the area where they did the repairs, which was about probably like 50 yards down the road. It wasn't even nearby where the trip hazard was that had been identified by their own employee. So because of that, it was a case that we were able to resolve for our client, and she was really happy. So those are the kind of things that personal injury attorneys do. We don't just take it at face value. We do an investigation. We're going to request records. We're going to request documents. And we end up learning a lot about business owners and what they do or fail to do to maintain their businesses and their places of work when they're responsible for the maintenance. Reminds me a lot about that case that you had, Anna, where the building was in a complete state of disrepair, and the thing that caused your client to fall and like really injure herself, one of the other people who worked in the building said, oh my gosh, this keeps happening. Like we have told them about this and they refuse to fix it.
And or they'll fix it and they'll do try to do DIY repairs, and they'll order some strips on Amazon and they'll place the strips on the staircase and try to resolve it on themselves. But the issue just keeps reoccurring, and they're not fixing the actual problem that caused our client, like in this case, to fall. And the way you're going to know that is by hiring an attorney. We could conduct an investigation to make sure, had there been other falls? Had there been other witnesses that have been there and saw this? What are the codes that they're supposed to meet? The safety standards that they're supposed to meet pursuant to the Miami-Dade County, whatever specific area you're in, for ADA standards is what they're called, right? For safety of pedestrians, going up and down these staircases and what they're required to be following, and what caused, in this case, our client to fall. and it happens on a daily basis, and you don't think, oh, it could have happened to anyone. Maybe it was my fault. I was clumsy. I wasn't paying attention. No, there was a trip hazard that caused you to fall. Had that not been there, you would have not had fallen.
Yeah. And that's something else that always happens. Evidence gets lost. People see like a little camera. First of all, you assume that it's filming. Half the time, it's just there for deterring purposes. Right. It's not really filming. And then when it is filming, it only records for so long. Think about your phone. It has limited memory space, right? Well, these computers that these cameras are recording to, they have limited memory too. So if you don't contact us for 6 months after your fall, guess what? We probably can't get that video anymore. We have to send a letter within a certain period of time to get them to save the video for us. And if we don't, we are basically SOL. There's nothing we can do. We can't recreate the video after the fact. People see cameras all the time in Miami-Dade County, like the ones that are pointing at the intersections that are looking down, and you assume that those are recording. Some intersections do have cameras that record, but the ones that you're watching, those are actually called traffic monitoring cameras. They don't record real time. Right. So those are there to see like, oh, is traffic being held up? Should we turn the light to green? It's actually counting traffic more than anything else. It's not there to capture an accident. A red light camera, that can capture an accident, but we have to send the request like this. Because once that footage gets deleted, it's gone. And yeah, it's there to capture someone taking a red light, but it may actually capture you falling on the sidewalk next to the red light camera. That happened to one of our clients. He had a really bad fall on the side of the sidewalk, but we looked up the intersection. We saw that it had a red light camera. We immediately requested it, and within 2 business days, we had proof of his fall. What caused it? It showed that he was paying attention, and that basically there was an inundation that you couldn't see, that wasn't obvious to your eye, and that you wouldn't expect to find in the middle of a busy sidewalk.
Yeah, but he was actually very lucky that he contacted us in time, and that we were able to request that video before that video footage was erased, because we also have other clients who have waited too long to call us. We have one client that waited over a year to contact our office, and at that point, if there was any footage, it was gone by then. And it's a lot more difficult to be able to hold these parties accountable and to be able to find out what exactly happened and how you fell, right? What were the surrounding circumstances around your fall? Was there an inundation? Was there, was there a tree root that caused the sidewalk to lift and that caused your fall? Was it raining that day? Was there a slip and fall sign there? All these things that we can catch on the surveillance footage, but we have to make sure we preserve it on time. And without that, we can't,
There's very little that we can do if we don't get the evidence on time. And unfortunately, when people come to us in that situation, sometimes our hands are tied. And then it's your word against theirs. Yeah. And sometimes you have witnesses, but sometimes you're at the grocery store totally by yourself. And then what happens, right? Who's going to prove your version of the story? You think that the employee is going to admit that they caused or that they made the spill that caused you to fall? Of course not. They're like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Actually, it reminds me of a very popular grocery store chain down here. Did you know that every month that they go without a slip and fall, the employees get a pizza party? Yeah, so the company will buy them lunch, they'll buy them pizza if they don't have any falls in the store for a month. Obviously, it doesn't happen very often because they don't have a lot of pizza parties. But one of the former employees told me about that during a deposition. He was like, we don't have them that often, and we always really strive really hard because we want a pizza party. And I learned that they were purposefully not documenting incidents because they wanted these pizza parties. It's ridiculous. So you need to have a lawyer who's willing to go that extra mile and to make that connection with the witness that they would confess the truth about the pizza party. I'm sure someone in a corporate office is watching this podcast right now and is not very happy that we know about the pizza parties. Yep, we know about the pizza parties when there are no slip and falls at that grocery store.
Yes, we jumped on the bandwagon, but like all the other lawyers out there who have started a podcast, we are now the millionth person to start a podcast. I think that's hilarious. But you know what? I'm happy to be on the bandwagon because I feel like this is more of a natural conversation. So if you're here, if you're watching, odds are you either like to watch lawyers and laugh about the stupid stuff they're saying on the internet, or you've actually been involved in an accident and want to learn more, and we're here answering your questions, and we're happy to help.
So thanks for joining us on our first podcast episode. I can't believe we are just another lawyer podcast. No, we're kidding. But if you are involved in an accident, subscribe. If you weren't involved in an accident, subscribe anyways. We're going to be sharing helpful tips, information, things that might help you be protected in the event that you're involved in an accident. You never know what life may bring. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll keep you posted and give you nice podcasts that are entertaining, fun, and educational.